Welcome to part 2 of my Reason 13 review. Some of you left really great comments on my first video, which I would like to share with the class. And the day I dropped my video, I got an email from Ableton announcing their 12.1 update, which is a free update, and it has more in it than the whole Reason 13 update. Let's check out some of your comments. This one here really summed things up well for me. Reason has gone from a second-rate DAW to borderline irrelevant. As a plugin, it's cool, but as a DAW, it can't compete with the likes of Ableton Live, FL Studio, Cubase, Studio One, or even Bitwig and Traction Waveform. New devices just don't cut it. It's not 2008 anymore. The aforementioned companies seem to add major quality of life improvements with each iteration. Reason adds a polysynth like we don't have 500 synth plugins already. Reason has lost me because they consistently overprice and underdeliver. This basically sums up the whole point of my video. In part 1, I talked about how the Reason 13 update has a whole bunch of really great stuff. I think the effects and instruments that they added are awesome. And I think the quality of life improvements they've made makes sense in regards to what Reason was like before. They're good updates for Reason. They're not good updates, generally speaking. They're mediocre at best. Like the browser, great update for Reason. It's just a basic browser. It's got no difference to like native instruments, Ableton. In fact, I'll point out some of the things that Live has added for free in 12.1. They added a whole bunch of workflow improvements I didn't even realize needed to be improved. And that's just a point update. Reason releases Reason 13 and doesn't have any of that. A good free DAW is Universal Audio Luna. I tried Luna, I think I actually made a video about it. I tried Luna when it first got released. When it first got released, you had to have an Apollo interface to use it, which is enormously prohibitive if you're looking for something entry level and easy access because Apollo units are expensive. But now Luna is available for free. The way Luna integrates with their plugins and the Apollo units is very, very cool. And you can still run third-party stuff. So I'm thinking I might start recommending people check out Luna and Complete Start at this point. That's gonna set you up with a Guitar Rig 7 version, a whole bunch of cool effects, a lot of stuff to get going and get the basics of music production down. I still don't love the Luna interface. I think it's more of a studio recording tool. I don't like how it works with MIDI at all. But as a free option, all of a sudden it's looking really attractive. And Luna has Note Chase. This was actually the thing that tipped me over the edge when I started my session in Reason and then decided to switch to Ableton. Reason doesn't have Note Chase. If you're not familiar with Note Chase, what it means is that when you have a really long note like this and you push play, nothing happens. You have to go back to the start for the MIDI note to actually trigger and play. Until you've experienced what producing with Note Chase is like, it's hard to really understand why this is such a big deal, but this is a perfect example. When I was making this, I was like, I want this drone to just kind of hold the whole time because I really like how the sound evolves. I thought that I would modulate some stuff and have the bass line change underneath it, produced by the same sound. That's all cool and stuff until I'm down here like 12 bars in, wanting to kind of mess around with the bass notes, and I don't have any notes, except you can hear the bass now. So either the options are I play it back from the very start every time in order to trigger the note, or I have to kind of like just deal with it. That was the thing that tipped me over the edge, and I went back to Ableton because Ableton has Note Chase. You can see here, if I click on this clip, same clip, right? If I click here and start playing, it's playing from in the middle of the note. So if I'm down here working in bar 12 and I want to know how my bass notes at 13 and 15 are sounding, I can do that really easily. This is like one of those basic MIDI tools, workflow improvements that at this point I think should be a given. Luna has it, and Luna's free, and Luna's missing a bunch of stuff. Like, come on, Reason. This comment here basically sums up my experience. I love Reason, it was my first. I have a special bond with it, but the workflow in standalone as a proper DAW with Arranger, the workflow just provides too much friction. It's not intuitive, not even after years of use. Workflow in Ableton Live is the opposite. Live is fast, easy, and flexible. That basically sums up my experience using Reason as well. And I do love Reason. I still have, hiding on my desk, under push, I still have the original Reason record box. This is what I started with. Reason Record Duo. This is a throwback. I keep this around because I'm nostalgic about it, you know? Record. Super intuitive, streamlined recording software. Reason. The legendary virtual studio rack packed with synths, samplers, effects, and all the production tools you need. Combine the two and they fuse into one incredibly powerful music application. A fast, lean, and rock-solid production environment that lets you stay focused on your music. At the heart of Reason and Record are virtual racks of instruments and effects. As you create your track, everything is automatically patched and cabled for you. Sequencer. The powerful sequencer is where you will do most of your creative work. Famous for its ease of use, it still comes with all the editing features you need. New in this release, Blocks mode lets you compose and arrange songs using a pattern-based approach. Creative flow. Making music is about capturing inspiration when it happens, working fast and staying focused on the creativity. We'll take care of sample rates, latency compensation, and all the other stuff that gets in your way. You just take care of the song. That's actually something that I found really attractive about Reason when I used to use this. It was pretty easy to use in the sense that it did take care of a lot of things. I don't think they've kept up. Making music is about capturing inspiration when it happens. You know, ironically, Ableton has that feature where if you play something and you're like, oh, that was cool, you can hit a button and it like pops up with what you just played. I've never actually used that feature, but you know, talking about capturing inspiration when it happens, that would be that. Alright, let's get this back. This should be a free update. Embarrassing. Let's remind ourselves what was announced in Reason 13. Upgraded sequencer, brand new browser, 5 new devices, more sounds. So we got a new browser. That was also what the big announcement was in 12. It's got tags. Cool. Ableton's had tags. Native Instruments has had tags. Tags are not new. New for Reason. Like, I think these are all good improvements for Reason. I'm just saying, generally speaking. Sequencer upgrade. We've got an editor area now. Again, good update for Reason. Nothing groundbreaking. They moved the tools. Again, nothing new. They're literally just moving things around. It's got the look. That's not a feature. New sounds. I haven't actually checked any of these out, but cool. Instruments. Great. Freaking awesome. Love these. Excellent job, well done. So basically we've got a browser with tags, things getting moved around in the sequencer so they're better. Now, moved around is important because there's nothing new here really, it's just moving it around. And we've got a few new instruments. So like 5 things if we count each instrument as a thing. Let's compare that to what was announced for Live 12.1. Keep in mind, this is a free point update for Live 12. Live 12 itself, when it got released, had a whole bunch of new things. This is a point update. They've added a ton of workflow improvements to how you interact with automation curves. None of this was anything that I thought was necessary. I already thought Live had some great stuff with interacting with automation curves. Gonna be even better, apparently. Auto Shift. This is an auto-tune plugin that they're adding. Drum Sampler. A dedicated drum sampler. They've updated the limiter plugin. They've updated the saturator. Now this here looks really, really cool. Filter and select MIDI notes. This is what I mean by them adding workflow features that I didn't even think when needed. The new Find and Select Notes option introduces additional workflows for selecting notes in the MIDI note editor, including searching for specific notes using different filters. Pitch and time, with possibilities to select pitch classes in any octave and adjust time selections. You can select notes based on note velocity, chance, and duration, or condition. Notes that are inactive or active or other states, where it is possible to find and select every nth note or chord, and scale. That's so useful. I never ever would have even thought of that as being something that I wanted, but now that they've announced it, I'm like, wow. Chopping MIDI notes is now easier, more powerful, and fun thanks to dedicated MIDI transformation. So Chop MIDI tool. A new Chop MIDI tool is available. The tool allows chopping selected notes into up to 64 parts, designing patterns for note chunks or gaps, extending selected chunks relative to others, adding random variations. So they're just throwing in a whole bunch of additional MIDI workflow tools into their edit thing over here, I guess. Nobody asked for these workflow improvements. This is a free point update. All Reason did was take their pre-existing tool window and move it over here. MPE MIDI tools. I've added a whole bunch of additional MPE MIDI tool stuff like glissandos, LFOs. Be nice if Reason actually had MPE. Scale awareness for audio clips. This is something I've added as a result of that pitch shift, auto shift thing. Oh, this is cool. There's an undo history. That's something that exists in like Photoshop, and that's a really useful feature. I think that's going to be really cool to have. And then check this out. Auto tagging user content. As part of sound analysis, Live will now assign a new tag type to user samples with a tag that best matches the sound that Live anticipates the sample belongs to. And it will also auto tag plugins. Reason's making a big deal about the fact that their new browser has tags now, and Ableton announces auto tagging of samples and plugins in a free point update. Browser improvements. Filters and tag editor improvements. You can tag user folders and create nested tags. Custom chords in your MIDI stacks thing. It is now possible to split arrangement clips, both audio and MIDI, from the clip view using dedicated split clip commands in the sample editor. That is actually cool. That's actually cool. That is an annoying thing that did exist in Ableton that now is not going to be an annoying thing. Bug fixes. Okay, now we're getting down to the boring stuff that nobody cares about. It was just highly ironic for me that the day I released my video about Reason 13 where we talked about like the 5 new things Reason has done, which are still all great. I don't want people to think I'm just hating. I actually really, really like everything Reason has done in this update. I think it's a really good update for Reason. I still don't think that Reason is doing enough to keep up with the other DAWs. And that being my sentiment, I found it hilarious when I opened my emails and saw that the 12.1 point update from Live had more stuff than Reason 13's entire announcement. I said that I thought Reason Studios needed to change the direction of their product. I stand by this. I said at the start of this video, I would likely start recommending a combination of Luna and Complete Start as a really good starting point for a lot of people wanting to get into music production, especially if they're plugging in guitars or recording stuff. Reason Standalone could totally be there. If Reason Standalone was a free piece of software, that would be the first thing I would recommend. I think the interface of Reason Standalone and how you work with it is better than Luna. Hot take, I haven't actually messed with Luna really recently, but from what I remember of working with Luna, I prefer Reason. I think it's simpler. I do like the simplicity of it. And the other thing that I said in my video was I think they should make the Reason rack a standalone plugin. Okay, so this is how I like to use Maschine. I will typically start something in Maschine, standalone. Got a little 2-bar loop right here. But then what I'll do is jump over here into Ableton. So I can go plugins, grab my Maschine plugin. That opens the full version of Maschine. Now, you can't resize it, which is so dumb, but I can open the session that I had just before. None of the transport controls on Maschine work, but I can play stuff and interact with it. And if I push play on Ableton, that's not the tempo I had, because it's synced to Ableton. It's whatever Ableton is set at. I don't remember what my tempo was. Maschine, like it still works. It still works like it's supposed to. It's just inside Ableton now. And everything that I want to do to Maschine, I can. Like if let's say I want to add an effect to this, like a VST effect, maybe the Reason Rack plugin, I can add that. I click edit and look at that. Here I have the Reason Rack plugin opening up inside Maschine, inside Ableton. Let's try that glitch generator on this end. That's me opening Reason inside Maschine, inside Ableton. This is what I think Reason Studio should do with Reason standalone. Let us use it standalone, and then let us open it up inside another DAW, but with the ability to use VSTs. Normally I have this Maschine template here. And what I would do is simply drag this in. It's already got Maschine here, which is currently missing because I need to put a VST3 version in it, and I haven't routed this one internally. But what I would normally have is I would normally have all of the pads routed to these individual tracks and all of the groups routed here. And so what that allows me to do is record anything that's happening in Maschine into individual tracks inside Ableton so I can work with it later. I use Maschine standalone all the time because it's a really quick and easy and fun way to create ideas. And then I pull it into Ableton and use my template to bring the sounds in. But I think I mentioned in my other video, one utility that I think would be really, really great if we had Reason standalone as a plugin, you could do vocal sessions in there. Use your pitch edit tool and then open Reason standalone as a plugin inside Ableton and just have all of your vocals like processed inside a Reason on a single track. That would be great. Or, like I said, I really want to be able to make guitar effects chains. At the moment, I just have a basic guitar effects chain set up with all of my typical Neural DSP plugins that I tend to use. But the Ripley space delay blows any of the delay-based effects out of the water. So I want to be able to go from one of these, or my rack with all of them, into the Ripley space delay, and then out into my track. If Reason supported VSTs inside it as a plugin, then I could make a combinator with all of my guitar effects chains, including Reason plugins and all of that kind of stuff, inside a combinator to switch between my different ones. At the moment I click here to switch between them, but like, let's be honest, Ableton doesn't look very pretty when you do that. Reason totally wins in terms of like combinator design. That would be great, but I can't because you can't have VSTs inside the Reason Rack plugin. I don't know what Reason Studios has planned for the future of Reason. I still can't recommend it. I think I might start recommending Luna, but I really hope that they take a good hard look at the future of the plugin or the future of the program. Can we make it a plugin? Can it also be standalone? For all of the faults that Maschine has, I find myself using it all the time in standalone and inside Ableton. I don't use Reason at all in standalone. I use it all the time as a effect, but I feel like I would use it so much more if I could open Reason standalone inside Ableton and stack VSTs inside the plugin. That was part 2 of my Reason 13 review, impressions, whatever. Next time I'm going to jump on and do some creative stuff with the Ripley plugin, I think. So feel free to subscribe if you'd like to see that. Otherwise, I'll see you guys later.